This video is brought to you by Grandeur Warranty, your #1 online source for factory-backed extended warranties in the country.
Are you torn between buying a gas car or an EV? I know I am. This is the all-new Volvo XC90 T8 all-wheel drive Ultra plug-in hybrid. This is the best of both worlds with a lot of luxury. I'm gonna show you why. The interior is just remarkable. You know, it's got like this grayish, light beige color, and normally that's not my jam. Normally I want like either just black or ideally like a nice saddle brown color. Beige has never really been up there on what I like, but they did this nicely. It almost has like a purplish hue to it, which matches that mulberry red on the exterior really nicely. But come here, check this out. This is the key they give you. It's orange, because you know, why not? This isn't just like a case that we put on there. This is the key itself, and I think that's pretty nifty. But then look at this. It's got a crystal gear selector from Oriforce. Talk about fancy and ultra. To start it, it's like a key motion almost, where you put your foot on the brake and then you turn this to the right and then it's on. And then to put it in gear, we just tap it all the way down to drive. You can see it's in gear now. I actually like this system really well. It works out pretty nicely. The cup holders, here's something I like. The cup holders, I think this is cool. So of course, you know, you see like these adjustable guys all the time, but then there's like this smaller opening here if you've got like smaller cans, so they're not rattling around in the larger opening. I think that's pretty neat. Or you can just shut it away entirely, which, I mean, gorge. I mean, this entire interior is really, really nice. There's tons of different materials. You've got your black padded dash. You've got this really nice material here. It's like woven, and then your open pore wood. Not a whole lot of cheap black plastic because this is all carpeted on the side. Tons of soft press. Not a whole lot that I can complain about. Well, howdy. Jumping in to this beautiful XC90 T8 all-wheel drive Ultra plug-in hybrid. This is just, I don't know, feels very, very ultra. Let's take this out on a drive. Wow, right off the bat, just going over some bumps. This just feels so lush, so luxurious, so fancy. Not only is she fancy, she's a sporty gal too. This is rocking a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with a rear axle mounted electric motor and an 18.8 kilowatt hour battery pack, giving you about 32 miles of pure electric range. 455 horsepower, 523 pound-feet of torque. We're talking 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Now 4.8, that is not like, you know, the fastest car out there. Obviously, you know, there's tons of EVs that are much faster than that, but this being a 3rd row, 6-passenger SUV, to be trucking along at 4.8 seconds, I ain't mad about that at all. I do like the handling a lot on this. It feels pretty weighty, but also quite nimble around corners. I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as like a, you know, a race car, but it certainly feels like you're very connected to the road. And I like the feeling of this a lot. So it has a wireless charging pad here, and then in the center console, relatively kind of small, unfortunately, but you do have a couple USB-C ports and a 12-volt as well. But you know what, it doesn't pass. As much as I love this interior, it doesn't pass my physical buttons for the climate control. All of your climate control settings are going to be in the touchscreen itself. Again, I do like that it is easily accessible from where you're sitting and where this is laid out, but everything has to be through 2 presses at least. So one to at least bring up your temperature control settings, where you're going to find your heated steering wheel, ventilated seats, heated seats, and this is where you can adjust your temperature itself, but it's all in the screen. I miss my actual buttons. They give you buttons for your defrost, for your next track, your press play, and your volume adjust, but no temperature control settings, and that is rather disappointing. You know, it's weird with this XC90, they're calling them 25 and halves, because the revision for this model came out halfway through the year. So earlier 2025 models won't have the same revisions that the later 25 models have. But one of the revisions that the 2025 and a half has is that it's got a more revised base suspension setup to better handle those harsher road imperfections. And so far, this has just been an incredibly smooth ride. It really does soak up all the bumps in the road. You know, and another thing with just this being kind of the best of both worlds, it's rated MPG for all electric power is 58 mpg. And then hybrid, you're getting 27 mpg. That's still fantastic, especially if your commute is less than, you know, roughly 15 miles or so one way to work. Then theoretically you could drive all day if you're just commuting to and from work, less than 15 miles each way, on all electric power. Actually, let's see how far we can go. If you've got a fancy car like this Volvo XC90, you may want to consider an extended warranty. Check out Grainger Warranty, the leading online manufacturer-backed extended warranty dealer in the country. With Grainger, you can save up to $1,000 with your extended warranty. So go to GraingerWarranty.com for even more info. Alrighty, so we are starting our all-electric range test. It has fully charged overnight. It is starting us with 36 miles of pure electric range. And technically, I believe this is rated for only 32 miles, so that may be a little optimistic, but we're gonna see. I've reset my trips, so we'll be able to see just how far we can go until it switches over to fully gas power. I wanna mention I'm not trying to hypermile, but I'm going the normal speed that I would typically drive. I just wanna see what regular mileage I can get out of this. I must say, after a few days of driving this, it is so choice. Very luxurious. I can't get over the different materials and the dash and just the build quality itself. Everything is so nice. All right, little update. We're at 29 miles of electric miles left, and we have driven 5.8 miles. See how it goes. You know, I mentioned earlier that this is the redesigned 2025 and a half model, and one of the revisions on the interior, you got a whole redesigned dash and center console area. We also get a much larger 11.2-inch display. Now, I do have one gripe about the look of this display, and it's been kind of like this for a while, but I like that it's very close proximity. You know, a lot of these displays are on top of the dash, so you have to lean, and it's not the end of the world. It's just, you know, I feel like there could be some improvements. I do feel like there is an improvement made as far as where it is located. It is very easy for me to access things and touch things, and I like that. What I don't like is the look. I feel like this isn't integrated really nicely into the dash. To me, it kind of looks like they took an iPad and slapped it, kind of mounted it right on the dash. It doesn't look like it's a seamless integration. I feel like it could have been a little bit better. But what about the back seat, you say? Well, it's definitely still very luxurious. So I've left the seat where I always drive, 5'7" for reference, and as you can see, there is tons of space, not only for my feet, my legs, but my head space. This is no joke, very roomy back here. You've got nice little captain seats with adjustable armrests, and then checky this out, this nice little cup holder here. Extra cup holders down here, an extra charge port here, and then look at this, quad temperature control. So if you've got someone in the back seat on the left who is running hot, they can run this really cold. If you've got someone who's really cold in the back seat on the right, you can run this super warm. Plus, heated seats for each side, adjustable temperature controls, adjustable vents. This is exactly what I would want to see for a premium third row SUV. This is super, super nice. However, there is quite a large hump right here, and this is where all of the HV mechanisms are going to be for your hybrid system. So it does kind of create a large step back here. So let's see what it's like to get into the third row. Oh, but first we have shade back here. We have sunshades for the little ones. How neat is that? I'm just going now. Oh God, this is harder as I get bigger. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so if I do not adjust this seat, my knees are jammed and my head is not doing so great. So for an adult, this may not be the best choice. For like a quick run, a mile or two, yeah, we can get this done. But this is not meant for adults. These are like little jump seats for kids. This reminds me of like back in the old S10s in the 90s where the seats were like sideways and they were like those little pull down. Anyways, got a couple cup holders on each side. Third row does get adjustable vents and airflow, so that is pretty neat. Oh, there's a little cubby here. Okay. I don't see any USB ports. This does also have massaging seats for both the driver and passenger in the front seats. And there's just this little toggle switch, kind of where the lumbar support is on the side of these seats. And then a screen pops up and it gives you all these different seat controls, from your massaging seat function to adjusting the bolsters, to adjusting the back itself, or even the leg extension. One of the things I really like in the cluster is they have this energy gauge. So it shows a needle with how much power you're using with the throttle, and then if you're off the throttle, it shows when it starts to dip below and it's starting to charge, so recharging the battery. And if you go on the brake, you can see it really starts to charge. And I think that's really cool. It's almost like a fun little game of how efficient you can drive. Kind of keeps your foot off the pedal. So it's definitely a different dynamic from driving more spiritedly. But I think it's a nice little thing, and it certainly helps keep me more focused to be more efficient, and it's just something I really like about it. I have to say, it's very quiet in this car, and I think this headliner certainly helps. It's like an Alcantara micro suede type material, and number one, I've always liked black headliners. I think it just gives like a certain type of vibe, but when it's this type of material, I think it gives an even more premium feel to it, and it just creates such a quiet cabin driving experience, and it's noticeable. I'm digging how quiet it is in here. Alrighty, little update. We've gone 13.5 miles, and we are down to 22 miles of range. Got my massaging seats on and keep on trucking. Checking out the trunk. Got about 13 cubic feet of cargo space behind the third row, but when we drop these down, it jumps to 36 cubic feet. Got it. But one thing I wish we had was something that would drop the second row down from here. But when we do fold the second row down, it jumps to about 64 cubic feet. Now, under here is where you're gonna find your charge cable. This will plug into your regular 110 household outlet, but keep in mind you cannot DC fast charge the plug-in hybrid. This can only be plugged in with level 2 charging. What you're not gonna find, unfortunately, is a spare tire. Boo, does no spare tire, which is very sad, but they do give you a tire mobility kit. The transition that I've noticed previously from it going from electric to gas is seamless. You don't You don't feel anything change. You don't hear anything change. It's very refined. Not to mention, this can tow. It's capable up to towing 5,290 pounds. So not an insane amount, but you can still put, a little trailer on the back. This thing, I don't know what it can't do. I mean, it's all-wheel drive, probably not going to take it off-roading. Off pavement, maybe not with these 21-inch wheels. I'm not sure how much you're going to want to do any off-roading. I wouldn't want to take this off-roading anyways. It's too nice. So with the new updates for the 2025 and a half, there's only a few things that you're going to be able to tell the difference from the previous model to this model. One is the new grille design, which I think looks really, really cool. It's got more slimmer headlights and a new hood. But another thing that is new for this model is this color, mulberry red. It's more of a purple. I think it looks gorgeous. You don't see a whole lot of colors in this shade, but we've got 21-inch two-tone color wheels. A little big for what I would want, but this is more performance-based, not really meant to go off-roading, but it does have all-wheel drive, so it'll get you there if you need it. But overall, they have not really changed the look of the XC90 because it's kind of been the old, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's kind of where they've been at, but it is a little bit more refined with this newer design. I think overall it looks fantastic. It's windy out. Okay, so we just ran out of our electric battery. We have switched over to gas. We drove a total of 33.4 miles, so pretty much on par with what they rate the XC90s can go for. Actually, a little bit better. They say that they're rated for about 32 miles of all electric range, and we did 33.4. So it all obviously depends on, how efficient you're being and following that gauge that's on the cluster. If you're driving a little more efficient, you can recharge the battery a little bit more and maybe extend it to a little bit more than 32 miles. So I think it did a pretty fantastic job because listen, if you commute 15 miles or so each way to work or less, you can commute to work every day, home and back without using any gas. That's huge. So if you are on the cusp of trying to figure out if you want to go all EV or if you would rather just stay all gas because you don't want to deal with changing to a whole new EV, because driving an EV, that's not just a different car, it's a different lifestyle. You have to plan around charging and especially road trips and everything. But with this, you can still go on road trips like you normally would with just gassing up the car in between stops. But your daily commutes can still be done all electric, just plugging in every day at night. This Volvo XC90 TA Ultra plug-in hybrid. I mean, she's kicking off all the gears for me. I think it's super nice interior, especially this 19-speaker Bowers & Wilkins sound system is incredible. Just all of the materials in here is super premium. It's so quiet in here, smooth driving, heavy handling. I'm very impressed. I'd like to find more that I don't like about it, but I am impressed with everything that I'm feeling right now. One of my main bugaboos is the screen. It looks like you just bolted an iPad or some sort of tablet right to the dash. It's not integrated really, really nicely. I wish we had more physical buttons for your HVAC controls because everything has to be done through the screen. Not a huge fan of that, but everything is pretty simple to find. It's not, pages and pages and pages of different, information that you can get lost into. It's very simple to run through, and you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that always simplifies things even more. But so far, this has been a pleasure to drive. And listen, I think this is the best of both worlds. With being able to drive electric for majority of your week for commuting to work, if your commute to work is less than 15 miles each way. And then you still got the full gas tank for a road trip. And on top of that, it's super nice in here. So the competitors, right? You're looking at BMW X5, Audi Q7, Mercedes GLE. A lot of those start between 60 and 66,000. The XC90 starts around 55,000. That's not what this one costs. This one has a few different goodies like the Bowers & Wilkins sound system package that's over $3,000. You know, this is the Ultra, it's a plug-in hybrid, so no, this doesn't cost $55,000. It costs a little over $88,000. But they still can be had for less than its competitors. And I personally think that this is a beautiful car to have. Like I said before, it's not too flashy, it's just elegant. I think this is the best of both worlds. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Check out alltfl.com for even more videos. This is Jen. We will see you next time.